Hey y'all, welcome to the podcast Passenger Seat Parlay, where you ride with me and Nisi, my Nissan Altima 2001 Miss You Dearly doll metaphorical vehicle, where we can jump into life's topics and join me on this long metaphorical drive from personal stories to industry insights, where we explore it all, creating a comfortable yet intimate space for connection and growth. So sit back and relax and let's join the parlay. Freaking finally. Thank you. You see, Lord, thank you. Not Justin. Now I'm calling you. That's Justin. Brandon. What the? Who is Brandon? I swear to God, somebody is talking about me right now. Because I'm like, somebody named Brandon is talking to me because your name is completely Josh. Wow. And oh Lord, Josh and Justin, J&J, the Aries twins. Shout out to Brooklyn Podcast. You guys are the best. All right, so today's podcast, we're going to go into a Q&A from my Instagram channel, Valerie with a V. And one of the questions was, when and why did I move to New York City? So I moved in the summer of 2019, and I moved because of love and adventure. At the time, I did have a boyfriend that I met here on vacation visiting my best friend who's lived here for like 10 years now. So we were long distance for about like 6 months. So that was kind of like an incentive for me to kind of like, all right, Val, side note, cause it ain't about even him. I've always wanted to move to New York from like childhood, but I was too afraid of if I can make it. No, I should stay here close to my family and all these excuses that I made to, bound myself to a reality that I did not want to live. So that last vacation, right where I met him at the end of that Labor Day weekend. But on that particular visit to see my friend, I decided, you know what? I could just live here. Like, what am I waiting for? And this is such my vibe. And I met him at a yacht party right after. And I was like, you know what? God knew what he was doing. He's like, listen, I've been telling this girl to go to New York for years. I've been sending her dreams. I literally picked up and put her best friend in New York. Like, how many things does she need before she gets up? Okay, let me throw a man in her way because she'll go ahead and finalize it for some dick. I'm like, all right, fine. Pero, all right. Even though it wasn't that great. But that's another episode on Passenger Seat Parlay. So I decided to move to New York in summer of 2019. And I'll actually go into another episode about the details of how I moved. Or I should just talk about it now because it's like, I'm not going to talk about this again. Duh. So when I decided to move to New York, one of the few key points I wanted to make sure before I moved here is like, one, you got to have either a career, a job you can transfer, or some type of trade that's lucrative and then can make you money. Because, some people like the Madonnas of the world, they have freaking talent. And also talent. I will say that. You need either career, trade, or talent. Something to offer in New York, or else they're just going to eat you up and spit you out alive. So I had my experience in my field. So I was like, okay, it's easy to find a job, research the job market, 1 million offices. The money is way better than South Florida. So you already know that was a go for me. Secured my living situation, all that jazz. Sold my car, my Nissan Altima. That was my 2001 Nissan Altima. Okay. Me and her, we rode it out. Okay. Oh my gosh. Man, on one of these episodes, I'm going to have my older brother Woods on here. And he's the car fanatic mastermind of my family. And he's going to tell you all the shit that me and Nisi went through. So this is me reliving my era with Nisi with y'all on Passenger Seat Parlay because she was a bop. So I sold her right before I left. And I'm not going to lie. This is my karma too. I'm going to go ahead and speak into it. Nisi wasn't taken care of the way she should have. I just needed a car to get me to A, B, and C because honestly, I do not like driving. I never drove on highways. Not my thing. Terrified. Till this day, I still don't drive. And that's another reason why I moved to New York, because I don't have to drive here. Shit's clear. And the train systems are wild. But when I did get here, there's a few things I needed to assimilate to that I thought was kind of weird. Um, coming from fresh out of South Florida to New York. So, first and foremost, my biggest shock was the fact that New Yorkers eat at gas stations. So, let me explain that to y'all. Bodegas here in New York, your little corner stores with the snacks and the coffee, whatever condiments, stuff you want. In Florida, we have that same environment. However, they're in gas stations. So it's like, if you're someone who would eat at a gas station, you're kind of like looked at funny and like down upon, like, ew, like you eat at the gas station. So I remember my friend and I, we went to she's like, yeah, we're going to go to the corner store and just like pick up like a bagel and cream cheese. I'm like, okay. Now I'm thinking, all right, let's go. We're going to go to a little grocery store. I'm going to find me a little New York Publix. And those who don't know who Publix, Josh knows Publix. Publix is the kingpin of sandwiches, which I took my Brooklyn boyfriend to Publix and he had the worst experience. I'm going to let you tell him his story, but New Yorkers do not assimilate to breakfast spots. It's the funniest thing in the world. So I'm like, all right, we're going to go to Publix. We turn the corner. We go to, now, by the way, New Yorkers, yes, they eat at gas stations. However, you can't eat at every gas station. Everybody has their particular bodega with their particular order. So I get there. I'm like, okay, well, we going to the grocery store after this, like, and then she goes to the counter. She's like, yeah, let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese, salt and pepper with hot sauce. And I was like, so we eat here? I didn't say anything at the time because I didn't want to be that annoying newbie bitch. Like, ew, we're eating at the gas station. But she saw my face. She knew in my spirit. I was like, ew, we're eating at the gas station. So, I was very bougetto in the beginning. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess it's normal. And she's very particular too. She, like, it was a clean deli bodega. And then I, ventured out, eventually found my bodega that I like. And I would always get like the gourmet sandwiches. Like, and this is me being from Palm Beach too. Palm Beach is for the bougie. Talking about I don't eat off a roll. I need an artisanal bread. Like, girl, but these little $12 sandwiches caught up on me. So I was definitely ordering that bacon, egg, and cheese like 2 months in. Also, riding the train. If before you move to New York, you need to understand that, especially if you live in Brooklyn, you will wake up, walk out of your house, and literally you could write down 10 random things. Most likely you'll see 2 of them that day. You never know what you're going to get with New York. I've seen the most wildest things here. I've seen the homeless situation is still not the best here. And now with the influx of migrants, I do see like a lot more activity on the street, a lot more unhinged, mental health. And I came here the summer of 2019. So right before the pandemic hit, it was crazy. It was kind of like a culture shock because right when I came down, it was, New Yorking. And then as soon as I like assimilated into living into New York, like about 8-10 months, we had the pandemic. So like watching New York go from like streets full to like empty, that was wild in itself. Another thing I learned to assimilate here was that my friendly personality. So naturally, I'm a friendly person. In Florida, we say, hey, hello. And again, I visited my friend over the years for a few times. And I remember, I'm like, nobody looks at you here. Like, nobody makes eye contact. I'm like looking up, smiling at people. People are looking at me either aggressively or weird. And then now finding out in New York, if you look at somebody in the eye for too long and smile, bitch, these are fighting words and actions. Like, they're assuming that you want to start with them. And if you think about it, there's so many like deranged and unhinged people here that real talk, like if somebody came up to me looking at me dead in my face, smiling, and I don't know them, like, I'm like, all right, are you trying to fight? Are you trying to rob me? Like, what's good? So I definitely understand where the aggression from New Yorkers comes from now. Because it's like you literally have to be on site and ready to like defend yourself if need be. Also, I'm a Brooklynite. That's what we call ourselves, right? Brooklynites? Yeah. So I'm a Brooklynite, been here 5 years now. And I realized there really is some type of underlying set between the 5 boroughs. Like I would see it on the internet and stuff like that. But until I was like 2-3 years in, I was like, yeah, Like, I had to learn. I'm like, the Bronx is not for me. Oh, my ex was from the Bronx. And I know people will talk about it's dirty, stuff like that. And then I'm like, I remember when I first went, I was like, oh, this isn't as pretty as Brooklyn. Like, I didn't understand where I was. And he lived in the projects. Like, Florida projects and real life projects are two different things. Apparently, he would say he lived in a nicer project, which he did. I mean, it was cleaner, but I mean, a project's a project. But no shade, pero that's not, I'm from Brooklyn. We don't do that. A little bougie. I don't know. I'm from Palm Beach. We don't do that. So that was a little off. I visited Queens a few times. Queens is not my scene either. It's just, everything is so confusing. And I'm glad I don't drive out in Queens at all. Because it's like you have 67th Street, 67th Avenue, Place, and they're literally all next to each other. It's wild. So that's a little different. Manhattan is definitely the most, I guess, commercialized borough. Everyone thinks Manhattan's popping. And don't get it twisted, Manhattan is beautiful, but Manhattan's ghetto too now. They don't put that on the map, but Lower East Side, okay, you'll have the gentrified, cutesy area, and then you have like the Lower East Side projects. It's a little rough. But, you know, it's very interesting. Definitely how, this is such a random fact, but how I learned classism wasn't even through the people between the 5 boroughs. It's the fucking dogs and the dog owners. Like, you'll be up in like Midtown East on a winter day or a fall day, and there's like this purebred greyhound next to you in like fucking cashmere. Like, this dog looks like it has better health insurance than me. Like, this dog got money, and just, it's crazy. People just throw their money on anything and everything. It's wild. Versus when you go to Brooklyn, the Brooklyn dogs, they're cute too. They got their little matching Adidas tracksuit, because don't get it twisted, Brooklyn has money too. And even now, Brooklyn's getting a lot more gentrified, even from when I first moved down here in 2019. Let's see here. So that's a fun little fact too. But you know what was the biggest thing about coming here from Florida to New York, amongst learning how to assimilate, you know, with culture and what's expected and talking, walking, and, you know, taking the trains, was assimilating to the drastic weather change. Like, mind you, I'm from Florida, where the coldest I've ever been in life was like 37 degrees at night during our version of winter. And I just stepped out to like throw out the trash or something and come back in. But and even now, I think the coldest I've been here in New York is maybe 19, which still has been bad because, you know, global warming and the earth is dying. We got to take care of her. But yo, I looked a fucking mess. First of all, this is pre-weight loss surgery. Like, in Florida, when we have our little Burlington coat factory, we'll get the big poofy workout jackets with like, and these are like the parkas that you would wear in maybe like 30-degree weather and down. But I had no ideal or concept of fall weather calls for fall fashion. Spring weather calls for spring fashion. Like, I would see it on TV throughout the years, like, oh yeah, because everyone talks about, you know, NYC is the fashion icon, stuff like that, which is true. I'm like, okay, but I never, in my mind, like, my priority was like, okay, lock down a job, lock down a place to stay, you know, have a plan of what you want to do and start saving money so you can go ahead and have your bariatric surgery. Because I did move in mind of being able to make more money up here so I can save to have my surgery. But I completely forgot about the weather. Like, I'm like, okay, if it's cold, I'll wear a sweater. A hoodie? Like, I did not know how to layer. My friend had to teach me how to layer. Like, there's days where you need a scarf and a hoodie under like a waterproof jacket versus a heavy winter coat. What's a heavy winter coat? What's a light coat? I needed a raincoat, rain boots, snowshoes. Mind you, I'm from Florida, and I don't know why in the world I came up here with like a few sneakers and like flip-flops. I can tell you I've worn flip-flops maybe like once in New York, and that was just for me to go to the corner store and back during the summer. Like, it was a whole mind game. And I think, yes, as of 2023, I've mastered the weather and the clothes and how to dress here so that I don't get sick and I'm completely covered up. And then now that I know what to get, now you have to add style to it because you can't just be out here looking crazy. I was looking like a saltwater Haitian fresh out the boat when I first got here. I ain't gonna hold you. That's why there's not a lot of pictures because I did not take a lot of selfies. Like, I did not know how to dress. And in New York, you got to know how to dress because it's like you are like the walking billboard of yourself and representation. So that's that. And lastly, what I will say about moving to New York and what's the best part of moving to New York. And I don't know, what is the best? There's so many great aspects about living here in New York, but my favorite one is that no one, literally everyone and no one gives a fuck here about what you do. Like compared to South Florida where, like, first of all, everyone's in their cars. So you don't really get a lot of one-on-one interaction unless if you're like at a, you know, a customer service place, like at a retail store, dinner, dining, stuff like that. But I feel like when you go out, like to a party or whatever, Floridians are just so like in your face and like, oh, what is she wearing? Or say if you're somebody who's like electric or eccentric in what you wear, you're just like an oddball if you're not wearing like shorts and like a cute top or something like that. So here you see all types of fashion, all types of people from different nations and so much culture. And I just feel like coming from a suburban town like Wellington, like I didn't realize how much of like culture I was missing out on. So that I will say is like top tier why I will continue to live in New York until I'm done. And what's the charm and glimmer that brought me over here? It's like nobody gives a fuck. And literally coming here where literally one person, technically 1.5, because I was talking to my new boyfriend at the time. But like literally one person knows you. You can be anyone you want to be here. You can rewrite your story. You can just live a life unapologetically. And that's what I loved. And also, I think spiritually speaking, I was definitely being called here. And I think my biggest regret was not moving here sooner. But then I had to give myself grace. Like God had to align what he needed to align. I need to stop calling God he because God is an it. Sorry, maybe we'll cut that out. But God was aligning me here to come here at the right time. First of all, God dropped me off in New York right before a pandemic. So he's like, listen, I know I made you strong. So I'm going to bring you here finally to the point where you are actually here. And if that pandemic does not scare you away, then you're meant to be here. I came, the pandemic came. I still stayed, still here. And living here during the pandemic was crazy. Like people were dropping left and right like flies. My mom was going through it, but it's just like, I'm not going back, Mom. You don't understand. Palm Beach was not for me. So if you can make it in New York, you could definitely make it anywhere. Like if your mental health can make it through New York, you can go anywhere. And as long as you find your tribe, you can definitely survive. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Passenger Seat Parlay. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram at Valerie with a V. And yeah, just get in the car, loser. We're going podcasting. Have a great day. Bye.